Hello YouTube, it's the Audio Adventurer here, and today I'm out in the XT4 from Magic Mobility. It's an Australian made all-terrain wheelchair that's absolutely incredible. There's a lot of content in this video, it is quite a long one, and there's a lot of stuff that I have to get through, a lot of demonstrations. If you can't watch it all in one hit, bookmark it. If you've got one of these wheelchairs, this is excellent information. Well, there we go, adventurers. So this is my four-wheel drive, and it's quite a capable off-road vehicle. Because of the capabilities of that off-road vehicle, I've been able to learn some skills that transfer really well to this wheelchair. So basically what's going on today is we're going to go down to the river to a little spot of, there's some rocks and some soft sand, and I'm going to get into some obstacles, and I'm going to show new wheelchair users for this wheelchair how to use it like you'd use a four-wheel drive. What I'm thinking is that a lot of people who'd be getting an XT4 wheelchair from Magic Mobility, in spite of the fact that it is a purpose-designed off-road wheelchair, I'm thinking there might be people who haven't used an off-road vehicle before of any kind, and there's just some basic skills and some common sense ideas that make using an off-road vehicle a little bit easier. And the first one that I want to talk about, it's actually in the Land Rover user's manual when they first came out. It's become my golden rule of four-wheel driving, and it's this: as slow as possible, but as fast as necessary. So as slow as possible and as fast as necessary has become my four-wheel driving mantra. So if you're going fast and bouncing out of wheel ruts and stuff and into and out of them and giving the car a real hard time, then what you're going to do eventually is you're going to break your suspension. Your suspension is built to be able to take that stuff, but it's not built to do it at full speed. And if you do it at full speed, eventually you are going to break things. It's just a matter of wear and tear. So to minimize the wear and tear on your off-road vehicle, in my case it's always been a four-wheel drive, now it's this chair, what you want to do is slow down for the rougher stuff. If you've got something like I'm going on at the moment, which is eroded gravel on the side of the road, and there's a rut that I'm about to go through, look, I'm slowing right down for this. That's for that little rut behind me there. And now that I'm up this hill, I'm going to go over this side. And what I might do is I might flip the camera around the next time I come to a hill, and I'll talk about why I'm doing hills the way I'm doing them. Okay, so before we talk about why I'm changing over to the other side of the road for the hills, I first of all want to cover something that I meant to cover in the video and didn't actually record footage of. Okay, so we're at the top of a steep slope, and I am nowhere near set up to be going down a hill this steep. What I actually need to do is get into the mode and go into my chair tilt, and I want to tilt my chair backwards. Okay, what I want to do is have myself tilted so far back that when I go down that hill, I'm sitting upright again. Okay, so right now I'm laid back in the chair, and I might just put the leg lift up a little bit. Just to the bottom of the hill. Okay, so I'm going to move slowly down this hill, and the first thing I'm going to show you is how the position changes that I'm in, and the center of gravity will come over the base of the chair. Okay, so now I'm sitting in an upright position. The chair's in no danger of tipping over, basically, is the whole point of that. And I can sit with the back wheels up on there, and I'm still sitting at, a safe angle. So what happens is, if I was to go back into my mode button and go back to the tilt and tilt the chair back forward to the position I had it in, I'm now off balance. I'm actually falling forward out of the seat. The only thing holding me in would be the seat belt. Yeah, gravity wants to pull me out of the chair, and that's not good, especially if you don't have any core strength and you can't hold yourself in an upright position. You're going to use the chair's seat, the motorised seat in the wheelchair, to put yourself in a position where you're not going to fall forwards or backwards out of your chair. If I want to go up that same hill, you can see how extreme I'm leaning at the moment. If I was to try to go up in this position, the chair is at very high risk of tipping over backwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt the chair all of the way forward. I'm going to lift the leg rest even more so that I have ground clearance at the front. I'm changing my approach angle by bringing the leg up higher, and that means I can basically approach a steeper slope without anything bottoming out. So I'm leaned as far forward as I can get. Yeah, and I also want to bring the back of the seat upright, because this time I'm going to be leaning backwards. So I actually want, when I'm flat, to be uncomfortably leaning forwards. And we're going to go up this hill. As slow as possible, as fast as necessary. Going to get onto the hill, and I'll try to stop on the way down. All right, very slow movements. The chair will go out of control and rapidly roll down this hill. If the hill was any longer, I'd be in danger of getting out of control and tipping the chair at some point on an obstacle further down this hill. This is why it's a good hill to demonstrate why we have these ratings. Yes, your wheelchair is capable of doing more than it's rated to do in terms of you can lean it back and you won't fall out of the chair, but these motors have a limited amount of torque. It's finite, and if the weight of the chair and the slope of the hill are more than the torque is able to hold you in position, then you're going to slide. And if it's wet grass, or if it's wet leaves, or if it's mud, or ice, you're going to slide a lot quicker. You're going to start to slide on a lot less of a slope. Be conscious of the traction that you have when you're on any kind of a different surface off-road. If you're on something slippery, best thing you can do is let your tyre pressures down. Reason being, when your tyre is full, it's round, right? You've got this round tyre, and when you let air out of it, the bottom part goes flat. Now, what that does is more of the rubber on the bottom of the tyre comes into contact with the surface that you're on. That means you have more surface area of tyre touching the ground that you're trying to keep traction on. It's called the coefficient of friction. If the coefficient of friction isn't enough to stop you from sliding down this hill, or spinning your tyres trying to get up it, then maybe what you need to do is lower your tyre pressure a bit. I'm going to reduce my tyre pressure. You can see at the moment the tyre's pretty well pumped up, and what I want is for the bottom to become more flat. So I'm going to use an object to, and the more air that I let out, the more of the rubber from the bottom of the tyre is touching the ground. That's extremely low, but for the purpose of this demonstration, it's exactly what I want to do. Put the cap back on. Keep the cap on when you're not changing tyre pressure, because that'll keep dirt and mud and debris out of the valve stem, which will increase the life of your tyre. Now that I've dropped the tyre pressure, I'm going to try and reverse up the hill again, and I'll demonstrate to you that by increasing the amount of rubber that's in contact with the ground, you increase your traction. Okay, so dropping your tyre pressure means this happens. Tiny bit of wheel spin and we're up. Now I do want to caution wheelchair users, especially ones who are non-ambulatory, be really, really careful around hills, okay? Set your chair up so that it's as safe an angle as possible. Like for instance, on the steepest part of this hill, I'm sitting upright, and the other thing to do is make sure that your tyre pressures are well suited to the terrain that you're travelling on. If it's soft sand, you want really low tyre pressure. If it's mud, wet grass, ice, soft dirt like I'm on here, then yeah, by all means drop your tyre pressure. Another advantage of dropping your tyre pressure is that your tyre can deform as it goes over obstacles, which means as you're going over a rock or something, a whole lot more of the tyre is in contact with that rock. Alright, and the more of the tyre that's in contact with the surface that you're going over, the less likely it is that wheels are going to spin, and the more control you're going to have over where you go and how fast. Okay, so I've got a little crest of a hill in front of me, and what I'm going to do here is I'm looking behind me, make sure there's no cars coming, and I'm going to cross over to this side of the road, simply because if there was a car coming over the other side of that hill, it would not be able to see that there's a wheelchair on the side of the road. And there's the car right now. See? G'day. There was no risk of the driver not seeing me and having a problem. So now I'm at the crest of this hill. Any driver coming up the back of the hill behind me can still see me. I can hear that there's no cars coming, so I can safely cross the road, come over here to the right-hand side, which is driving into traffic in Australia. So if I was in the United States, I would now be moving over to the left-hand side of this small country road. And that way, I can see the cars coming towards me. They can see the the wheelchair coming towards them. We both have an opportunity. They can slow down. I can move off the road. It's just safer this way. Something I've started to do with this chair is, at the moment, I'm in my outdoor setting, and with the speed all the way up, if I push the stick all the way forward, I go at full speed, the total top speed this thing is capable of. Now, if I use the speed change buttons here to change this, you notice that there's 5 settings. Okay, that's I'm in the 5th one, there's the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Now, it's useful, I've found, to think of these as gears. 1st gear, 2nd gear, 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th gear. So on flat terrain, like running around on the grass in my backyard, 5th gear is fine. I can go at full speed. That's not a problem. I can corner at full speed. There's no obstacles. There's no problems at all that I need to worry about. And so top speed's fine. But let's say I want to do some more off-roady kind of stuff, or traverse some more dangerous terrain, like some more dangerous obstacles, then I might put it down into 2nd gear. That way, all the way forward is a slower speed, and partially forward gives me real finesse, real control over where I go and the directions that I'm changing in. Okay, so let's just pump that up and head up the driveway and have a look at something else. Now, I'm about to hit the steepest part of my driveway, and it's actually outside of the rating that the chair hasn't been rated to go up a slope as steep as the one I'm about to drive it up. What I'm going to do to mitigate that is I'm going to change my center of balance. I've talked about this before. Okay, so I'm going to go into the mode setting. I'm going to pull my layback all the way forward, which is bringing the backrest into a fully upright position and the leg rests down. Then I'm going to go to chair tilt, and I'm going to tilt the chair. Okay, so I'm tilting this all the way forward. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to raise the leg rest so that it doesn't collide with any obstacles that I might come up to. Gives me a little more ground clearance at the front. Looking ahead, you can see along here all of the gravel has been ripped up, and you can see there's like darker spots that show that there's little potholes starting to form there. These ruts on this side are really bad. You can see here that some tyres have been dug into got into a bit of a scrape. So I don't really want to go up this side. You'll be able to see this clearer when I come back down. What I want to do is have this one front wheel. This is the other front wheel. I want to go up here and then traverse across over to that side and continue up the hill on the left hand side. So let's do that here and traverse across. All right, again there's another little washout there, so I'm going to once again just straighten up and go up through the middle here. Now this is called picking a line, right? When you're four-wheel driving, there'll be obstacles on whatever track you're driving on, and your objective really is to make the drive as smooth as possible by avoiding the obstacles as best you can, as long as you're not going to tip. You're looking for the safest and easiest way, and your objective basically is to keep the wheelchair as level as possible. Now speaking of that, I've just turned around at the top of a driveway that this wheelchair is not rated to be able to travel down, and I'm currently in a leaned forward position as I would be for going up that, and I'm going to tilt backwards now. Okay, the chair is coming up and I'm moving backwards into a reclining position using the tilt. Let's have a little look at how we're going to pick our way down this path. Okay, so and speed, just because it's a very steep downhill, I'm going to drop it back one more gear. I'm going to second gear. So thanks to these brilliant LED lights, you can really see quite clearly where the holes in the road are, where the potholes are. What I want to do, I've got two wheels, right, left wheel, right wheel at the front. I could go straight down and then I'd hit that pothole, or I could go straight down here, I'd hit that pothole. What I can do is come down here and then traverse, go across. So I'm basically threading a gap there. The thing is, going sideways across a hill, especially a steep hill, is a really high risk of rolling over. I'm going to come down here, I'm going to go partially across the hill, all right? That's going to reduce the difference between how high this wheel is and how low that wheel is. This really is a good way to demonstrate that picking a safe line to come down a hill it's an intellectual challenge. You really do have to think about this, and the consequences of not thinking it all the way through could be rolling your chair. No one wants you to do that. Okay, so this is a really cut up, dangerous section. This is cut up here as well, and down here was the section I talked about when I came over it coming up. There's that really deeply cut out washout. So the rain comes down the driveway, and this hump here stops the rain from going any further, and this side falls away downhill, so that's where the water goes. And where the water has gone, it's cut out and eroded the ground here and here. And that means if I try to drive through that, I'm going to be tipping all over the place. I'm going to be in a mess. That's not a good spot for me to go. But this isn't a good spot for me to go. And this isn't a good spot for me to go. Can you see the best line from where I am right now? Okay, so here's my left front wheel, here's my right front wheel. We're going to traverse across between the gap there and there. All right, we're going through that, and then we're going to turn downhill, and we're going to get onto the top of that hill. And as I come past this piece here, right, as I come through here, I'm going to turn again to traverse over to this side. I want to get to the middle at the top of this bump, and when we get there I'll show you why. Okay, so the smart line here is not down through that washout, it's not over those ruts, and it's not through this rut. It's through this gap and then turn. Okay, so let's thread that needle. Slow as possible. And that's the sketchiest part of the driveway handled. The bit in front of me along here, that's a hill that falls away that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive along here and then turn quite sharply and take both front wheels down that hill, so at the same rate, at the same time. So going along here to the top of the hill and then turning to face the chair directly down the hill, and we'll go straight down this hill rather than trying to go sideways down it, because that's risking tipping the chair, and we really don't want to do that. What we've got down here in front of me is, well, it's dry riverbed. It's got really soft sand on it. There's some large rocks and everything down here, and we're going to have a look at how to traverse some of these obstacles. First thing I'm going to do when I'm going to go off-road is I'm going to slow down my maximum top speed, and that way I won't be able to get myself into too much trouble. With the XT4, each wheel has a motor, and each motor has consistent torque. It doesn't change depending on what your maximum speed setting is here. So I can have it slow as possible, but I still have maximum torque available to me, which means the speed is low, but the ability to pull through an obstacle is still as high as it can be. That's important because that means I can use small movements of the stick to go very slowly, and that means that I can negotiate this terrain carefully, and I can look ahead in front of me and find the best spot to put the wheels and drive onto them. Drive onto those best spots carefully. Got my little luggage box on the back. In there I've got my drone. That's just an 18-volt tire inflator, little tripod, and a backpack with a couple of sundries in it. So that was another good example of why it's good to go slow. You see, I bottomed out on that rock, and I felt the wheelchair, the base of the wheelchair, hit the rock and start to scrape. So it didn't have the ground clearance to get over that rock. So what I did is I went off the rock and I turned just a little bit, and I put this right front wheel on top of the obstacle that I'd just got stuck on. Okay, so now instead of trying to go over it with it in the middle underneath me, I've moved over to the side and I've gone over it with the wheel. I know I've got the torque to be able to climb over that rock, and I know that that rock isn't so high that when I get the wheel on top of it, I'll be in danger of tipping over. I know that I can just basically reverse a little bit, put the wheel on top of the obstacle that I'm getting hung up on, and then cleanly go over it. Let's have another look at that. So this is just a little example. I could easily go around this rock to my left, and that would be the sensible thing to do. But what I want to do is demonstrate. Let's just say that I couldn't go that way. Let's say there was a deep puddle, or there was even bigger rocks, and this was my best bet. If I come up to this obstacle, slowly, I'll find out that I can get up onto it, but now I've bottomed out. Now the wheelchair is sitting on that rock. So I'll reverse off it. What I'm going to do is only half go over it. I'm going to keep my left wheel, the one away from the camera, is going to stay on the sand on this side, and my right wheel is going to come up over the obstacle. And now I can get over it. So when you put it all together, choosing the right line, going slowly so that you don't do any damage, making sure that you've got the right tyre pressure for the sort of terrain you're travelling on, the chair does so much of the rest of the work for you. All you really need to do is get into it, Get out there, go slow, go safe, and see where your XT4 takes you.